Welcome guys to another episode of Nerds for Life SuperCoach. I'm your host Peter, and this is part 2 of the very early 2026 watch list. Now before we begin, please make sure to subscribe, like us on, well, if you're watching this on Facebook, give us a like there, if you or a follow. We're on X, Instagram, TikTok. I'm going to be posting a lot of pre-season updates. That's match reports, as well as those, what are those called? Those match simulations that everyone is keen on. I'm keen on. These are the most important things when it comes to setting your site up. So do make sure to subscribe, like the channel, follow us to keep up to date on that, because this is the most important time. It is pre-season. Now, the grand final is about to take place, so we are very early, as I mentioned, did part 1. This is part 2, purely because I forgot a few players. And there's just a few that I need to discuss a little bit more. Now, the first one I want to bring up is someone that I actually brought up in part 1, but has since gone on a little bit of a tear during the final series. Now, this is someone, Darcy Wilmot. Now, I know it's a strange one. All right, he's just under 500k. That's what he finished the season on, and he'd probably be priced around that price range. As a defender, he had a 5-round average of 108.6 and a 3-round average of 120.7. That's how he finished the year off, and he's just gone 128 in a semi-final and 104 in a prelim final, okay? His qualifying final 65 wasn't amazing, but you know what? Everyone has those off games anyway. He looks good. Now, yes, Kitty Coleman is a problem, obviously not a problem, but potentially someone that could take points away from him. Maybe there's a role change. We don't know. So he's more of a watch at this stage, and let's see how he plays in that grand final as well. But his form to finish off the year has been elite, and I do like to pick players off their form from the back end of the previous year. So for example, I picked Andy Brayshaw this year purely because of his end of season was remarkable, and I picked him over Sarong, and that worked out really well for me. And they're the kind of things that I look for when it comes to picking my 2026 side. It's who finished strongly in 2025. And Darcy Wilmot, I've mentioned him, I spoke about him in part 1, but I just wanted to give you an update because there've been 3 games since I've made that video anyway. Let's go quickly and take a look at the others. Now, the other one that I just want to bring up, and this is a player, and as I said, trades haven't happened yet. We haven't had free agency or trades yet, but this is a guy that has informed his club that he is leaving, and Freo are very much open for him being moved on. It's because he's barely played since his remarkable 2022 season, and that is Will Brodie. For those who have been playing SuperCoach for a little while, the 191k forward rookie has actually had a breakout season in the past. If you go back to his 2022 season, he averaged 102.4 for the year. Okay, his end price was 483k. Now, I just want to go to some of those season stats from back then. Okay, he didn't play it all this year. 2024, I don't think he played it all either. He didn't. So he hasn't played it all in 2 years. 2023, he started the season with a 74 and a 71. Missed a couple of games, came back for a 72, 75. Got an average form, 64. Then never played again. Literally has not played an AFL game since round 7, 2023. The year before that, in 2022. Okay, I just want to read out some of these scores for you. 101 against St Kilda, 135 against the Giants, a 103 against Carlton, 115, 121, 144, 105, 125. That's back to back to back to back to back. And then 82, 129. Like, this is the kind, and then he finished the year with 104, 133. This is the kind of guy that could be your F6 comfortably. And he's probably going to be around 180 to 190k next year. Absolute lock as a forward if he can make his way to Port Adelaide, which is the team that he has nominated himself for. They've just lost Travis Boak. They are looking for, and they've also lost Willie Rioli as well. By lost, I mean retirements. And they're looking for that player that can fit into that role. And they're going for a bounce back this year. They've had a terrible season. And with a new coach, some rejuvenation. They've let go a few players, some of that dead wood. I think that Will Brodie will be playing, especially if he's playing midfield. He's going to make some serious cash. If he doesn't end up being a keeper, that's fine. But he could make 200k pretty easily. Pretty easily if given the opportunity. Now, the other one is someone that I've kind of forgotten a little bit about. And that is Mr. Darcy Parish. $473,000 is what he finished the year on. $473,000. Played 3 AFL games in 13, 14, and 15. That is bad. It's really bad. A 78, a 72, and a 115. Those 2 games, he actually had really low time on ground, and it was gradually moving up because I was tempted to pick him at that point, and then I'm so glad I didn't because he didn't really have much of a season. The year before that, let's go take a quick look. The year before that, finished at 89. Again, an injury-plagued season. But then, you don't have to go back far. 2023, he finished the year with 108.1. Okay? That is borderline D8. M8. That is borderline M8. Probably you want your M8 at least averaging 110, but you'd be happy with that. I know for a fact a lot of people didn't have 110 average midfielders by season end. My backline was what failed me at the end of last year. So 108.1 would be elite to finish off the year. Before that, season 110.9. Before that, 114.1. And then 86. I think that was his breakout year. Yeah, it was. What was it? 21 was that big season that he won All Australian in, I believe, and that was 114.1. Yeah, so he's had 3 seasons of basically 105 over. Okay, between 108 to 114. Now his last 2 years have been injury plagued. Yes, 2024 injury plagued, 2025 injury plagued. But this is the kind of guy that can really dominate a game. He will be priced at an 88 average, which means that he's going to be somewhere between 450 to 470k, like he is priced at now. Okay, that is cheap. That is cheap for a guy that could seriously have 110 season. He could have a 110 average season. Now, the Dons could lose Zach Merritt, which means if Darcy Parish plays, he suddenly becomes their best midfielder and their most taggable midfielder as well. That is a bit of a concern, okay? Still, definitely one to keep an eye out for, and he's only a pick if he has a good preseason with no injuries, comes out in the summer and looks good in those practice matches. Pick him then. I'm sure people are going to be talking a lot about him over summer, me included. The next one is, going back to my club, Richmond. Midfield forward, Sam Lalor. Or Lawler, sorry. Stupid way of pronouncing his name, but that's fine. It is Lawler. 267,000 is what he finished the year on. Only really had one game, couple of games of note. Okay, the 74 against Carlton was a good score. Should have definitely been a lot higher because he was fantastic that game. The 112 against Brisbane was brilliant, and his scoring has been pretty average outside of that. Did have a few injuries as well. Played mostly forward. The reason I bring him up is because he has recently, when I say recently, it was last week, he said that he's going to be working quite closely and has already started working quite closely with the midfield coaches, with Blake Caracella. And he's going to be building on his midfield craft and hopefully playing more midfield in 2026. If he's still forward listed and he's 260 odd to 300k and he's playing mostly midfield, someone of his ability could be a decent pick, could make 100k and score well enough to justify the pick as well. Definitely one to keep an eye out on for 2026. Just look at his preseason, see where he's playing. If he's playing mostly midfield, he's going to seriously be a startable player. For me this year, I'm most likely not picking too many forwards. Last year, well, 2025, I personally spent way too much money in my forward line, starting Isaac Rankin, Jason Horne-Francis, what's his name? Jack McRae, Caleb Daniel, Bailey Smith. Okay? That's a lot of cash for your forward line. That was a lot of cash for my forward line, and I don't want to be doing that again. And then my first upgrade was Christian Petrarca. I finished my forward line within a month. And it was just not... It was good because my forward line was done, but that's your weakest line every year. And I don't want to be flooding that line come the start of next season. But if Lawler is playing midfield... There's a world out there where he's my F1. There is a world out there where he is my F1. Or worst case, F2. And it's not too bad, and it's not too much money banked up there. But, again, definitely a risky one. Keep an eye out on him. Hopefully he has a proper summer. Because last year he had a couple of injury issues as well leading into the summer too. And last one. Oh, no, not last one. Oh, my God, is it the last one? It is the last one. Now, this is an interesting one and didn't have the best prelim final, but... Sure. Where is he? Jordan De Goey. Why am I bringing up Jordan De Goey? He's 295k. Alright? He's had a really bad year. Like, this is a really bad year. Okay? As you can see. But, his SuperCoach finals has been decent prior to the prelim final. The prelim final was not good. Okay? So let's just take a look at De Goey. It would help if I could spell. Jordan De Goey. And this is only an option if he's forward listed, okay? His first game was 115. That was a really good game. His next game was a 47, so quite poor, okay? But again, we're looking at a player for our our forward line. If hypothetically, if Lawler is not an option, right? I am tempted to start Jordan De Goey if he's around that 300k mark. As a forward, as an F2, potentially. Okay? We need to see where he's playing, of course. There's a lot that could go wrong. He needs to be fit. He needs to be playing midfield. And he has to be forward listed. I'm not going to pick him if he's midfield. But he has to be forward. Even if he's midfield. If he's below 300k. Even as a midfielder... Surely he makes 150k and scores okay. Even as a midfielder, I'd be tempted. Actually, I take it back. Jordan De Goey, even as a midfielder, I'd be very tempted. Very, very tempted. We've also got news since... Now, I think I mentioned Sam Draper in my previous video from memory. He's selected Brisbane, so since I made that video, he's selected Brisbane as his club of choice. If he gets to the Lions and he's playing as their R1, I really like that pick, although I have a feeling he might be playing more forward. Again, but if he is R1 and he's playing mostly ruck and he's listed as a forward in SuperCoach still, and he's about the early 400k mark, which we think he will be, I'm probably tempted to start him too. Again, it's a lot of focus in our forward lines, but it's just a few players to keep an eye out on because they do have the capability of going big. Just want to see. Yeah, that was it. They're the only players that I wanted to discuss in part 2. There's going to be a lot of preseason content coming out by me over the summer. This is where my page really shines. This is what I like doing. I love posting over summer, so do make sure to subscribe. Keep us on your follow list. Give us a little bell because I'm going to be posting a lot of preseason content, especially when it comes to those match simulations. That's me, done, dusted. I'll be back, same time, same place at some point. Thanks for watching.